Trick me into Walmart Plus? I will use your crappy service. One can at a time, by user Lee10021. I am trying to get my husband a PS5 for Christmas. I am not as savvy as many other people out there when it comes to technology, so I am not having much luck. I tried to get one from Walmart, but the notification said the releases are for Walmart and only. I now realize this is a ploy to get people to join, but I figured I would have some luck at least. Wanting to be a good wife, I joined and have now wasted about 12 hours of my life waiting in virtual lines that just eventually disappear. And I'm out $98. Now I know Walmart doesn't really care about my petty revenge, so this is really more for my peace of mind. The only benefit I see from Walmart Plus is that they offer free shipping on any order, instead of $5.99 for orders under $35. So I have been using this to my benefit. When I'm at the store and I see an item I think I can get cheaper at Walmart, I look on my app and if it is cheaper, I order it. I'm talking a can of beans. But I do it one at a time. So they have to ship a can of beans to me for free. And then the next day, maybe it's a jar of spices. That way I am going to save the $98 through comparison shopping for the next year. And then they have to ship me those items for free. Again, I know they don't give a flying fig, but it gives me a little satisfaction. Does anyone know of other ways I can use Walmart Plus and stick it to them? Edit. I volunteer at a food bank and we need boxes to pack food for families. I do home deliveries. Ironic. So the boxes are going to good use. I made a jerk at my work hold in her pee for hours, by user Ismaili a smile forever. So I've never posted on here before, but I just had to after what this lady at my work did today. I work in janitorial at a factory and unfortunately this means that people tend to be assholes because they see me as someone below them. Well, I take pride in doing my job well and my bosses say I'm one of their best. For the last few months though some lady, let's call her Jane, at the factory I clean for keeps complaining about every little thing to my bosses whether it be true or not. Well, recently she's been lying to my bosses and saying I don't ever clean the ladies' room despite the fact that literally anyone could tell that I have since it'd be disgusting otherwise. I know the factory doesn't allow restroom breaks very often so I always let the women use the bathroom even if I'm actively cleaning it to be nice. I mean, who wants to hold their pee for several hours? Well, because Jane complained enough a new rule was put in place that means I now can't let anyone into the bathroom as I clean it until I've finished. Jane is notorious for overusing her time in the bathroom to skip out on work. So needless to say there have been a few times she's started leaving her area to use the bathroom. Given how thoughtful Jane has been about making sure I do my job properly, I've taken to making sure to always be cleaning the ladies' room and break room whenever she needs it. The first time was the best, so let me share that with you. I came out of the bathroom that I'm cleaning to grab some more of my supplies only find Jane there waiting. Jane is frowning like usual. Hey, could I use the bathroom? I really have to go and the other bathroom is under maintenance right now. I put on my best fake apologetic smile and shake my head. I'm sorry, but I can't let anyone into the bathroom until I'm fully finished cleaning it. I'd say you could wait, but I wouldn't want you to get into trouble for standing around doing nothing. Jane scowled at me. It won't take long. Can't you just move the sign for now? Once again I shake my head as I gather up the supplies I need. No can do. I have a schedule to stick to and can't go against company rules. I wouldn't want anyone to think I'm not doing my job correctly after all. Jane was getting pissed at this point, but I couldn't care less. I pushed open the bathroom room and gave her one more oh so apologetic smile before heading in. I'll try and hurry so you can use it soon, but there is only so much I can do. Sorry, Jane. Then I went into the bathroom and took the longest time I could to clean it. By the time I came out again Jane was gone and I couldn't have felt happier. I knew she'd have to wait who knows how long until her next bathroom break and the thought of that makes me grin so much. I still do it whenever I can and there is absolutely nothing she can do in retaliation either besides give me the stink eye. Edit 1. I've been looking through the replies and have seen a lot of concern about Jane's health. I would like to clarify that 9 times out of 10 Jane doesn't even use the bathroom when she is in there. She grabs her phone from her locker and takes it into the bathroom to play on it and watch videos instead of using the stalls. There are other bathrooms that aren't too far and the time where I denied her the bathroom as I cleaned it when the other was under maintenance was just a coincidence that worked in the favor of the revenge. I have relatives who have issues with their bladders and would never risk anyone's health for some revenge, because that is pretty messed up. I didn't want to leave anyone worrying about anyone's health, so I decided to add this edit in. I only took longer that one time with the cleaning, because I didn't want anyone else in the factory to be punished for how Jane has been to me. I used to look the other way when people like Jane would go to the bathroom just to play on their phone instead of working, but decided to stop turning a blind eye and prevent her from doing so. The way I see it, other people shouldn't have to pick up the slack because Jane wants to play a phone game instead of doing her job. Sorry for not being clear enough in the original post and for making people concerned for others' health. Neighbor got revenge on me and my family by walking in our yard, by user Reggie718. Growing up, my parents' backyard connected and shared a fence with 3 neighbors next door, directly behind, and diagonally. I had friends who lived diagonally to us, so to get to their house I would hop the fence and take maybe 5 steps in the corner of the neighbor's yard directly behind us. I was probably 11 or 12 at the time, and my parents didn't see a major issue with it since the property had about a half acre between the fence and their house. In hindsight, and now as a homeowner, I'd be super annoyed that a kid was doing this on my property without asking, and I'd probably talk to the neighbor about it to give permission first. But that's not what happened. After doing this a few times over the course of a month or 2, I looked out the window one morning and saw the neighbor who lived behind my parents walking straight through our backyard. By the time I told my dad, she was at our gate and went through it to our front yard. My dad confronted her and asked what the hell she was doing, and sarcastically said, "I'm just visiting my friend, this is a shortcut." So petty and weird, I respect her for it. But she moved shortly after and was accused of poisoning another neighbor's dog. So I'll stick with petty and weird. Accidental Petty Revenge, by user Duchess of Kizit. Several years ago, our neighbors had 2 small dogs. They'd just let them outside to do their business. As none of us had fences, they were all over the place. I'd flung many a POO back in their yard, may or may not have been the basement window wells, lol. They didn't get the hint. Anyway, I had been trying to establish a privet hedge, but the rabbits kept chewing on them. I had been periodically treating them with a spray called liquid fence to deter them. For those unfamiliar, the stench of the stuff is unfathomable. It's like rotten eggs with garlic and butt. Nasty stuff. So one morning I was spraying the hedge. Neighbor lets the dogs out who come running my way. The neighbor sees what I am doing and yells, "Noo-oo-oo," at the dogs. But too late, they were both running through the hedge, which must have smelled amazing to them. They were rubbing up on it. I was stifling a laugh and had to go to the other side of the yard because I was going to lose it. She rounds them up and 2 hours later, she has draped about 8 different area rugs on her deck rail to dry. Apparently, they went inside and rolled around. LOL. I am glad to say that shortly thereafter, they installed a fence. Thanks, naughty dogs, for exacting my revenge without me having to lift a finger. Calls in the middle of the night, by user @Tsefin_just_Zeffin. I was reminded of this by a recent post. Back in the late 90s, when house phones were still a thing, our phone kept ringing in the middle of the night after we moved to a new house and had to get a new telephone number. Unfortunately, I didn't have caller ID. This went on for months. I was always too sleepy and incoherent to ask for an explanation before the calling party hung up. Finally, one night, there were 2 calls, and I was still awake for the second call, so I answered in a businesslike fashion, rather than with a sleepy hello. The person on the other end was in a hurry to get in touch with someone other than me, but at least when I said, "You have to tell me why people keep calling," they said, "It's in the main directory," before they hung up. Main directory? There was a large employer near me, Freescale Semiconductor. It used to be part of Motorola and now it's part of NXP, but then it was a private company. So I found their main number, dialed it, and listened to the nighttime recording. It was a long list for blah blah blah, call XXXYYYY. For blah blipty boo, call ZZZABCD. For the Mo's 11 fab main floor, call Zeffin's home number and wake his ass up. Or something like that. Anyway, it was now 3:30 AM, and I was wide awake. This was during that brief moment when the web, home phones, and phone books coexisted. So, I got on the web, found out the name of the CEO of Freescale, found him in the phone book, got on the phone, and called and woke his ass up. After I explained the situation, he mumbled something like, "Couldn't you call Freescale Security and have them fix it?" Well, I'm sure all of your wonderful employees who ever called me took it upon themselves to try to do that immediately after they realized that an error in your directory was causing them to wake up random strangers. It seems unlikely your security would listen to me if they won't even listen to your own people. Well, could you call my office in the morning? Sure, what's the number? So I chatted with his secretary a few hours later, and she said she'd fix it. But, of course, That night I tested it again and it was still broken. So I called his secretary back the next morning, and factually explained that it wasn't fixed yet, and that every single time I got called in the middle of the night, her boss would as well. The bitch was dumb enough to ask why on earth would you do that, but smart enough to realize that she'd been adequately warned that her name would probably come up in any subsequent 3 a.m. conversation between me and her boss, and resourceful enough to get it fixed post-haste. TL, Dr. Misconfigure your system so that it regularly bothers me, and I'll do my damnedest to make it a personal problem for the highest ranking asshole I can find. Edit, I just remembered it was Mo's 11, not Fab 25, which was AMD's Fab, so I changed that above. Someone below asked why people were calling in the middle of the night. It was a 24-hour operation, so people were probably responding to pages and dealing with emergencies to keep things chugging along. Which is why they were always too busy to talk to me when they got a wrong number. Anyway, here's a bit more information about that Fab, from back in the day. https://www.texasmonthly.com/newspolitics/wafermadness/